Today I'm going to be doing a gun review on the Glock 22. This is a 40 caliber pistol, and this is the Gen 4 Glock 22. So it's the newer one. I looked up a bunch of differences between there. Some of the differences between like the Gen 3 and the Gen 4 is I think the pattern on the grip here is a little bit different, as well as inside it's got like a different style of spring. It's got 2 springs instead of 1, and I'll show you guys that in a future video where I'll show you how to tear the gun down and clean it and everything. You can kind of see some of that stuff. And I've also got a crossbreed holster. It's a concealment holster that I'm going to be trying out while I have this in my possession. I'm going to wear this around for a little bit just to see how it fits in there. I've already done a little bit of testing, and it definitely fits the gun perfectly in there. I have tried it on, and it does feel really nice. It is a little bit difficult to completely conceal this gun, but the crossbreed holster definitely helps out. I'll do a full review on this once I get some more time in with it. But for now, we'll just try to focus on the gun. For those of you who don't know, the gun itself comes with the nice little Glock case, and I believe when you buy the gun new, I believe it comes with, I think it's 3 magazines and the little speed loader, or assisted loader, whatever this thing's really called. It's actually really helpful because all it is there's this little bar right there, so it kind of rests on the highest bullet in the magazine, and you push down, so that pushes the bullet down, and you slip another one in on top, and you kind of lift up as you pull back or push back on it, and it really saves your thumbs when you're shooting a bunch of rounds at the range. I did take this out to the range, and even with this little device, it still hurts your hands after a while, just because the Glock springs in these magazines are really stiff. It's good and it's bad. It's bad if you want to do a lot of shooting because your hands will get tired, but it's good because it's going to make sure that the gun functions properly every time you need to shoot it. Which, I guess since we're on the topic of magazines, we can kind of stay with these. The standard magazine comes with 15 rounds, and you can see there's like a little hole for each round in there. And like I said, I believe you get 3 of them, and obviously with this one right now I've got 4 magazines here, and then I've also got 2, they're not aftermarket magazines, but they were bought after the gun, and these are actually 22 round magazines, and as you can see on the bottom, they are Glock magazines, so it's not like they're some off-brand that's not going to function. And I did take these to the range and didn't have a single problem with them. So anytime you can get factory parts or factory specific parts, then it's going to make a lot of a difference. So I think that's why these were purchased there. But it does, I'll show you the difference between the two real quick in the gun. If you take the standard 15 round magazine, it's flush pretty much with the bottom of the gun except for the little gap there. But if you look at the 22 round magazines, it's obviously going to stick out a little bit further. So you do get more shots. It's not really any less stable. Like I said, when I took it to the range, I put probably 4 or 6 of these magazines down range. Didn't have any hiccups or anything like that. So it definitely is worth the money, and they're not all that expensive either. So that's kind of cool about that. Now, for the most part, when I did take this to the range, I was using just Federal range ammo or some Remington ammo, but you can really use whatever you prefer. This stuff here, the Liberty ammunition, this is some crazy ammo. As you can see on the side here, let's get it into focus maybe. Its velocity is 2,000 feet per second or more, compared to the standard rounds, which are around 1,100, 1,200, depending on which ammo you buy. So the cool part about that, and it kind of caught me by surprise, is I'll show you the difference here. They are hollow point ammunition, and they're extremely light. I think they're 60 grain, and the average bullet for this is between 140 and 180. So the first thing I notice is when you load up the magazines, the magazine full of the USM 40 is way lighter than the magazine full of just your standard rounds. So if you're considering carrying the Glock 22, the weight difference between the two ammunitions is incredible. I mean, it almost feels like it's half the weight. Now, I know it's not. I'm not sure exactly what the weight difference is, but it does feel noticeably different between standard load rounds and these 60 grain Liberty Defense ammunition rounds. And the other thing I wanted to note on about these, and you can actually try this on some of your friends, is I was shooting a bunch of just standard ammunition, like 165, 180 grain, and then I put a magazine of these downrange, and the sound of this thing literally sounded like the AK that the guy in the lane next to me was shooting. I would say that compared to the standard round, this has to be at least 4 or 5 times louder. And not only is it louder, the average flash that you get out of the pistol is, pretty small. You might get a little flash like this, but the flash that these 60 grain bullets put out, I swear, is probably this big at least. I mean, it's just a giant flame. It literally sounds like you're shooting an AK because the sound is so loud on it. I had a couple of guys with me that day, and after the first shot, they kind of looked over and they're looking at the guy next to me with the AK, and he was reloading at the time. They're like, "What the heck was that?" And I shot a few more, and they're like, "Wow, that is incredible. I thought someone was at the 12 gauge shotgun or something in here." So the sound and the flash are just incredible on these, and they've got the the high speed on it. So there's a lot of controversy online whether or not these are good to carry or not, because they don't penetrate extremely deep. I think they are a fragmenting round, but at the same time they have a massive wound channel, and just, the sound and the flash from these things would be enough to scare off any attacker, as well as still do damage. So I'm not really going to get into bullet dynamics and all that stuff here, because I'm not really that familiar with it all, but I would say I would feel comfortable carrying this. It's still going to do damage, even if you just carried regular ammunition, wad cutter front ends on them. That's fine. If you want to go with the jacketed hollow points like these, you could do that. You really don't need to, because 40 is a bigger caliber, but it's whatever you feel comfortable with. You could even mix it up, maybe put one of these, and then some regular ammo, and just stagger your magazines like that. So it's always an option for you too. Okay, so enough about the magazines and the ammo. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual gun itself. So I'm going to go ahead and lock it open for you so you can see that there's nothing inside there, which is very important, because one thing to notice about this gun is there really is no traditional thumb safeties or anything like that. The only safety is built into the trigger. There's a little lever on the front of the trigger, so you can't just pull the trigger, you have to depress that little lever. So now that we know that the gun is clear, which you can lock the slide open with the little slide lock here, and the gun will stay locked back when you do shoot your last round. The magazines will push that up, so after your last round's out, it will stay locked back for you, which is pretty nice. But like I was saying, there really is no other safeties on here, except for the little one built into the trigger. And what you need to be really careful of is, if you are going to plan on carrying this, you need to definitely work on being able to draw the gun without getting your finger anywhere near the trigger, because there are no safeties on it. So if you keep around in the chamber, you better hope that you don't pull it out and slip and your finger pulls the trigger, because it will shoot. So that's definitely something you want to pay attention to. But it's not necessarily a bad thing too. If you were in a situation where you had to use it, you just pull it out and use it. You don't have to fumble around with any slide safeties or anything like that. So I personally like it. I don't get bothered by it, but I know some people might not prefer that. But it doesn't seem to be too big of a deal for me. The sights are the standard Glock sights, little white half box and a little dot up front. It's pretty accurate. I definitely noticed that the longer I was at the range, the worse my accuracy got, because I kept predicting the recoil, so I would always pull down right before I'd shoot because I would get so used to the kick from it. And one thing I want to mention is I've shot both this gun as well as the XDM, and initially when I was first holding the two in my hand, the XDM felt a lot nicer. It felt a little more ergonomic. Like it felt like it, sat better in my hand and stuff like that, and it just felt like it was all around better. But after a couple hundred rounds in the range, I noticed that when I left, this part of my hand in here was kind of stinging and sore because of all the extra shock and stuff from the gun. And, when I first tried this one, it kind of felt a little bit awkward, and even like the guys I was with tried it, and they said, I don't know if I like how the Glock holds, but after a couple hundred rounds with this, my hand was fine. There was no stinging or anything. So Glock does a way better job of absorbing the recoil, and I felt like I was a little bit more accurate with this. I mean, obviously that's my personal impression on it, but it definitely absorbs the recoil better. Because I know a lot of people online complain that the 40 cal is a bit snappier, and a lot of people don't prefer it because of that. But with this Glock compared to the XDM, the Glock 22 compared to the XDM, I'd noticed a huge difference in the shock absorption. And it might be because it is the Gen 4 and it's got the better spring inside of it. But it is a really, really nice gun. So, for the price of this thing, it's really not that bad. It's definitely worth the money. Like I said, it is a little bit harder to conceal because it is such a bigger gun. But, like I said, if you get something like the crossbreed holster or something like that, then you could definitely pull it off depending on which clothing you're using. As far as, if you're going to carry extra magazines on you, it is a double stack magazine. So just your standard, double stack mag pouches will work for it. They actually fit quite nicely into the holster. They fit snugly, and even the 22 round magazines fit nicely in here. And they're not too bad. They are a little bit more awkward to walk around with. I've tried it. If you bend over a certain way, the little thing will stab you in the side and stuff. But I mean, it's nothing terrible. It can be done, but I would probably recommend carrying the shorter magazines with it. But other than that, as you can see, the gun has a little front rail, so if you wanted to get a flashlight or a laser or something like that, you could definitely mount it up there. It does take some getting used to. It is extremely accurate when you're not flinching every time you go to shoot the gun. So one of the things I'm going to do is pick up some dummy rounds next time I go, and I'm going to have one of my friends load up the magazine, stagger them throughout the magazine, so I'll get used to, pulling the trigger, and I can see how much I'll actually flinch, so that should help out with some of that. But other than that, it's a really great gun. It's a lot of fun to shoot. The ammunition is a little bit more expensive compared to something like the 9mm. I think online you could probably get decent range 9mm for about 22 cents a round. And I want to say for decent range 40 cal non-reloads or anything, it's probably going to be around 32, 34 cents depending on where you get it from. So it is a little bit more expensive to go this route, but it does have a lot more power, and it is a little bit bigger caliber than the 9. So that being said, I mean, overall, like I said, it feels, if you feel different guns at first, I mean, it's kind of like looks can be deceiving, while, holding guns can be deceiving too. Like I said, when I first held this, it felt kind of weird because it is a little bit bigger, bulkier, but at the same time, it turned out to be, one of the more fun and pleasurable ones to shoot. It didn't, start killing my hand at the end. And I don't know, I just kind of like the look of it. It is, one of the first Glocks I've shot, so I'll definitely have to try out a few more models to see, but I would definitely recommend this gun to anyone who is just looking for something they can go to the range with, or if they want a good self-defense pistol. And I know there's a lot of controversy about the 40 caliber round. It is still somewhat newer in the market, but it is standard issue for a lot of law enforcement personnel, and it does have a pretty good track record behind it. So, I'm not going to try to influence your decision too much, but I would definitely feel safe with something like this. I brought the LCP with me, and compared to shooting this, the LCP has like no kick compared to what you feel out of here, because it is such, the 380 is such a smaller round anyways. I'll probably eventually do a video showing the difference between all the different sizes of the bullets and stuff, and I'll try to get that done while I have some of these guns with me. But that's my first impressions on the gun. Like I said, it's a lot of fun. The Gen 4, from what I've read online, definitely is a lot better than some of the older generations of it. I mean, it's still the Glock perfection, but they did improve a lot of stuff on there. So is it perfect? I don't think anything's ever perfect, but for the price that you pay for this thing, and as much fun as it is, it's definitely as close as you can get. So I don't know, just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. If you have any extra information, stuff that I missed. I really didn't cover too much on the gun, just because it is newer to me. A lot of the stuff I looked up was just either from my experience or things I've read online. But it is a really nice gun. It is pretty easy to tear apart and clean, so I'll do a video on that, as well as show you a little bit more about the cross breed holster one day. So other than that, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if I missed something, or if you guys have any tips or feedback for future videos, stuff you'd like to see. And I'll be back soon with the how to clean the Glock 22 video, as well as some others. So I'm always looking forward to hearing what you guys say. Let me know what you think, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.